Good evening, Treasure Troller here. And before we start the vlog, I need to make another addendum. I forgot to include the author of a book, redacted. The author's name is Jenny Decker, Jeni, Decker, Decker. I forgot to mention her during the vlog. She wrote a book about this murder case, and it's on Amazon. It's available on Amazon. It's $1.99. So if you like the vlog, if you want to read more about the story, it's a very, very factual based book on trying to get information through the Freedom of Information Act, and also the information obtained about the murder and the murder investigation within the actual investigative reports. So I forgot to mention Miss Decker. She was very kind. A lot of text messages back and forth. She was more than happy to respond. So that's about it. Don't forget, if you can, please pick up a copy. Like I said, it's $1.99. Her name is Jenny Decker. The book's entitled Redacted. Sorry for forgetting about you in the vlog, Miss Decker. But that was it. So, without further ado, let's get to the vlog. Good morning, everyone. Treasure Troller here. Welcome to another vlog from our small town murder vlogs. Today we are in Reed City, Michigan, which is a town located approximately 50 miles north of Grand Rapids, Michigan. And we're going to discuss the murder of Miss Janette Roberson. It is an unsolved murder case that has remained unsolved for the past 37 years. So this murder took place back in 1983. On January 19th specifically. It took place in this store, this Reed City Hardware. Back then it was called Gamble's. Janette had moved here with her husband Alvin approximately 2 years before the murder, and she worked in a factory, and when she was laid off from the factory, she took a job here at Gamble's, and she worked in the pet department, and the pet department was downstairs. I'm trying to get some views for you. I don't think it's going to work. If there's a stairway, if you can see, behind the stairway, I believe, is the steps that went downstairs. So I'm trying real hard for you, and we may get them on this one. So that stairway, if you can, they've got it blocked off, but I think right behind that stairway was the steps that went down in the basement. So what happened was, she got the job here at the pet shop. It was down in the basement of that store. The 19th happened to be a Wednesday. That also happened to be the busiest day at the store. That was the one day that the shipment came in, and everybody at the store, most of the employees would be there working. So there were approximately 5 to 6 employees at the store at the time, plus customers and Janette. Now, the last person that most likely saw Janette was at about 11:30 in the morning, and she was upstairs. He was a maintenance worker at the hospital who was in there all the time. He basically picked up his stuff and filled out a payable slip and left it at the register. He kind of told Janette that he didn't need any help. So she said, okay, have a good day. She went downstairs. And that could be the last person that actually saw her alive. There was a call that came in that one of her kids at school was sick. Janette was 30 years old. She was married with 2 kids, 2 young kids. And so she was going to go to the school and pick them up and take them to the babysitter. And no one saw her leave. No one saw her come back. So throughout the day, there was a couple of customers that came in that wanted to specifically talk to Janette. One had some baby gerbils or hamsters that she was going to sell Janette. One wanted a specific product for her aquarium. So they wanted to see Janette. And they just were saying that Janette's at lunch. And that's what everybody thought. Until finally, someone had stayed around the store waiting for Janette for a rather long period of time. So one of the store employees went down at approximately 3:50 in the afternoon, 3:50 in the afternoon, to look for Janette. And she found Janette laying in the back of the pet department area, a little off area that they kept the birds back there and some supplies. And so she immediately ran upstairs and they called the police. Now see, back then they didn't have 911 numbers. So when you had an emergency, you called the sheriff's department. And the sheriff's department is located like 2 blocks from the Gamble store. So a call came in that someone had been murdered. So the officer on duty had told the chief what had happened. And he told the dispatcher to send it out as a heart attack victim. See, because back then everyone had police scanners. And they didn't want to get a big crowd around Gamble's. So the call went out as a heart attack. So when emergency personnel showed up, they thought they were treating a heart attack. And when they went downstairs and realized what they had a murder that was beyond anything that they could fathom. Janette was brutally beaten. She was in fact beaten beyond recognition. She was nude from the waist down. Although the Michigan State Police will not state on the record that Janette was raped, they will say that there was a sexual component to the attack. There were several different weapons used on Janette. It was a very bloody, overkill type scene. And like I said, this happened in the middle of the day with 6 employees upstairs as well as customers. So this would be the back door. At one time this was a clothing store right here, and they had bought the clothing store, and this was the hardware, this was the hardware entrance. So this was the door that they would have used. And you can see, I'm just sorry, but you can see just how narrow the store was. So you can get an idea of the pet store was downstairs. You could see how narrow the store would actually be downstairs. And I don't see anything. We'll check this other door here to see if we can see a stairway. I don't think we're going to see it though. No. Sorry, but we're not going to see a stairway. But anyways, that is the inside of the store. It's vacant now. So anyways, it was a very, very brutal attack. It happened in the middle of the day during normal working hours. Of course, there was, the usual suspects. First kind of person was interviewed there was a individual that supposedly was running from the downtown area to the bus stop, and they were taken off the bus and they were interviewed and released. Of course, the husband Alvin was interviewed. He was actually he worked at a manufacturing plant or something like that outside of Reed City. He was off that week. He'd actually been in the store a couple of times that day. I guess another little something to add intrigue to the story was that there was a rumor that Janette and Alvin may not even had been living together. They were going to get a divorce, and that Alvin was actually seeing the babysitter, and that turned out to be true. Alvin stayed in the area about 8 months after the murder, and he eventually moved back down to Georgia with the kids and married the babysitter. There was also a gentleman, a Vietnam veteran that had a few social issues that was also looked at. There was one 17-year-old boy that was looked at. He was living in the apartment complex that Janette lived in, and he was often at her apartment. He was quite infatuated with her. There was another individual they never found. There was a pet store that was in Big Rapids, and she had met someone there that said they were doing some type of research projects, and he would take all the mice that she could get him, and the store owner down there has no idea who the guy was. So there's been about 150 people interviewed. There's been 300 to 400 tips that came in on this investigation, and nothing has come of it. This is a 37-year unsolved murder case of a very pleasant individual. Someone who was asking Bigot and I if we ever get kind of the heebie-jeebies. This one gives me the heebie-jeebies. I don't understand how, and it's not one thing, it's the whole thing, but such a brazen attack in the middle of the day is just beyond me. I don't. When you think about having, you need opportunity to commit a crime, and your only opportunity is the middle of the day in a retail store. I mean, it's brazen. It was brutal. It was beyond brutal. And just being out in front of the store, there's just something about it that this one kind of the vlogs we've done, this one has gotten to me. So now we will go visit her grave. So this is the final resting place of Janette here in Reed City. Everyone said what a wonderful, likable person she was. It's hard to imagine that a death that was so heinous could come to someone that was as nice as Janette. But after 37 years, it might be time for someone to come to terms with what they have done. If there's any information out there, if anyone sees this vlog and has any information or think they have any information, You can call the Michigan State Police at 898-773-5951, or you can call their Crime Stopper line, which is 1-800-SPEAK-UP. So with that, for Mr. Lamont, Black Bigot, Homeless Negro, etc., 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 this is Treasure Troller saying aloha and good day.